What's up, y'all? It's your girl Cornelia back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. Y'all, let me tell y'all, I dog sat this week. Y'all, this was my first time dog sitting. Okay. And I know this random, I just wanted to intro the podcast talking about something personally that happened to me and I dog sat. Let me tell y'all, I didn't own a pet as a child. We had goldfish, but my sister threw one behind the couch. So we never had another pet. Okay. My daddy scared of pets. We just didn't. We Black. Y'all know Black people didn't start letting their dogs come into the house until about 2019. Okay. Before, you just had the dog in the backyard. He didn't even have a name. Okay. His name was just Dog. He ain't come in the house. The house? What you talking about? He's an outside dog. Whatever he ate, he found on the streets. If he got out the backyard, he just got out the backyard. You had to find out he was chasing the neighborhood kids. We did not have pets, but I am thinking about getting a pet. So I dog sat this weekend for maybe 4 to 5 days. When I tell y'all, one, I know I can have a pet, but two, I'm exhausted. Y'all be doing this? I was saying to the dog's dad, I was like, I felt like I was a single mother just trying to make ends meet. Okay. I felt like I was just doing the best that I could for my kid, trying to put food on the table. I don't know how y'all be doing this. I do not know how. And I'm not saying that a pet or dog is like having a kid, but baby, I don't, how y'all be having children? Ooh, my Lord. Single mom? No. Yeah, I was so exhausted. I was like, if I have to get a dog, I might have to get a boyfriend. And I don't want to get a boyfriend, so I probably won't even have to get a dog. I don't think I can do it. Yeah, I don't think I can do it. I will say physical fitness wise, dog has been very helpful and I know will benefit me because I need to get my exercise back going. But no lie, I have shin splints now from the amount of walking that I've done. Y'all shin splints from the dog. I don't know. I don't know. After a couple of days, I was worn out. Yeah, it reminded me when I was in college. I had one of my college boo's. He was in between apartments, and so he stayed with me. I was like, you could stay in our apartment for like that month, and until your new apartment is ready. After the first week, I, baby, you got to go. Hey, you still here? You need to get out. I was so annoyed, and he wasn't even doing nothing. He was cleaning up after himself, cooking his own food, cooking the dishes, got along with my roommate. Y'all, when I tell y'all, I was agitated. So a part of me thinks this is just my personality. And as I've gotten older, I know myself. That's one of the reasons why I have never had like a living boyfriend. And also one reason why that I tend to gravitate more to long distance relationships. Because after a while, I don't want you in my space. Get out of my house. Get out of my apartment right now. Get out. Please get out. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know if I'm gonna get a dog. If I do, he would have to be very low maintenance, minimal bathroom usage. I do not want to be outside 4 or 5 times a day. I just don't want to go out there. Okay. I just don't want to be out there that much. I take one walk. You got one in you. That's it. But overall, it was a great experience. I am a good dog auntie, I believe. And yeah, I feel like a new black that's able to have pets. So, I just want to share that. And also, I wanted to start off the podcast on something lighter because I feel like the rest of this episode is going to be fairly dark, depressing. That's just the climate that it seems like we're in, right? That's just the climate that it seems like we're in, especially with this first particular topic regarding the young man named Kyren Lacey. Kyren Lacey was a Louisiana State University wide receiver, very good at football, on his way to the NFL combine and NFL draft, who took his own life in 2024 after he was accused of causing a fatal car wreck that resulted in another man losing his life. To be specific, he was set to face a grand jury hearing in April. Sorry, I think he took his life in April. He was set to face the grand jury hearing on April 14th on charges of negligent homicide, reckless operation of a vehicle with an accident, and a hit and run that caused a fatality related to his involvement. He died on April 12th. After authorities were called out for a verbal dispute between Lacey and a family member. He fled the scene before police arrived, with the pursuit ending with his death. He shot himself. Now, this, when it happened, there was a lot of conversation around it. And it was a lot of conversation before. Because once the accident happened and once news hit the media, it literally ruined this man's life. And I'm saying him, yes, I know someone lost their life, but the fallout from this in regards to Kyren Lacey was very swift. We live in a time right now where there ain't got to be no evidence, no video proof, nothing. Somebody say one thing, they take it and run with it. And we are still at a day and age where if the police say something, people automatically believe the police, even though we have a history of the reality that we should question. We should question whatever comes out. So in this case, because Kyren Lacey was popular, he was a good football player, football star on his way to the NFL. Not only was it local news that took a hold of this, but this was all over social media, sports journalists, sports shows, podcasts, the biggest podcast network shows, voices in television, sports talk were talking about him. And I can only imagine a young man having to sit back and watch all of this unfold. Meanwhile, the brain ain't fully developed. Like, listen, he's still a young man, and watching his dreams, everything he worked so hard for his entire life being ripped away simultaneously sounds like it's too much to bear, right? It sounds like it's too much to bear. So when all of this happened, it was devastating. Right? It was devastating. I'm reading a little more of the article, and this again, it said Louisiana State Police said following its investigation into December accident that killed Herman Hall, that Lacey, quote, recklessly passed multiple vehicles at a high rate of speed by crossing the center line into oncoming traffic in a don't pass zone on Louisiana Highway 20. Lacey turned himself in and posted a $151,000 bond the same day. Now, the state police said that Lacey drove around the crash scene following the accident and fled without stopping to help or report the crash and his involvement in it. They said, "We know from data that this is the update from Kyren Lacey's lawyers." Now, before I read this past weekend, Kyren Lacey's lawyer, who said he made a promise to Kyren that he had him and he was going to get him off of this case. He came out and started doing interviews, telling what really happened, showing footage, showing the data, and proving that what was documented in the police report, what the witness statement said, contradict what the witness actually said that was recorded on the body cam footage, and what they said happened did not match the data, did not match video surveillance, and did not match what was the overall conclusion by the police department. His attorney also said that the prosecutors or the district attorneys, I forget which side it is, I'm so sorry, that they made a conclusion in their investigation that the story that the police had also did not add up with their findings. The challenge was, in Louisiana, I believe the law is that regardless of whatever, it has to go to a grand jury, regardless of what the DA or the prosecutor finds. So they did their investigation and came to that conclusion that the evidence just didn't support what the police was saying. But unfortunately, Kyren's attorneys did not and could not have access to that report ahead of time. So when Kyren Lacy unfortunately took his own life, him and his attorneys, his team, they did not have all of the data and all of the information, but they have it now. So I'm going to play some video clips and I'm going to read some of this article so that we're on the same page, because as a Black person living in America, we know stuff like this happens, right? We are 13% of the population Black people, but we make up, I believe, 50% of all incarcerations. And that is not because we are overly criminal. We are overly policed. All the numbers have been ran. Same, the other side, other people demographics do drugs and commit crimes, same rate, if not more. But when you overly police, yes, you're going to make up the majority of the convictions and of the people incarcerated. We also make up 50% of exonerations. And let me point out, because when people throw that number out, I like to remind people that's just the exonerations that are allowed to go back to trial and to be in cases to be reopened. There are people, men and women, sitting behind bars, Black and brown men and women who aren't given the chance to retry their case, reopen their case, have somebody look into it. So there's people sitting up in jail who are innocent of crimes that they were convicted of. We know this for a fact. And if you don't have the resources or the support, or sometimes if you just in a fucked up location, you out of luck. So with Kyren, this purse attorney, it says, we know from the data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, he passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel 92.3 yards, back in his lane behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he was 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Key word, behind the vehicles. This is not how the story was ever painted. Never. What we know now is he was 3 times legally where he needed to be, back in his lane of traffic. Again, y'all. Okay, so let me play some of these clips real quick. Let me play some of these clips. And again, the attorney also said it's crucial to emphasize that Mr. Lacy did not cause or contribute to the crash. There was no suspicion of alcohol or drug use involved. Furthermore, contrary to some media reports, Mr. Lacy never returned to the scene of the accident. He didn't cause it. You can't flee a scene that you didn't have nothing to do with. Okay, but let me play some of this, child, because they be trying to get you. Okay, now some of these gonna be redundant because I saved a bunch. Okay, so I'm gonna play a bunch.
See is in the top left of the screen, you're gonna see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens, and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did, in fact, pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about talking to Kyren Lace and he's saying, Matt, I wasn't involved in this. What was his mindset like at the time?
It's horrible. Look, man, you got a young kid that's getting assassinated on public media, social media. He begged me to help him. I was already helping, but it was a consistent deal, obviously, meaning far after representation, begging me to help him. And you move as fast as you can with what you have. But there was a defining point for me in this whole situation that I knew he wasn't joking. And he referenced things in football fields. And I know it's easy to look back and say, oh, I bet he never said that. He's deceased now. BS. I'm telling you now what he told me. We're looking at old news reports where they say he actually collided with a vehicle.
They did.
They actually said he fled a scene. They actually said he came back to the scene. Do you know how preposterous that is? None of that's true. And he sure as hell never split the difference and barely got through, and then there was some big explosion. That's not what happened. Kyren Lacy passed 4 vehicles. There's no question, in a row. Nobody ever disputed that. But it's now undisputed that he got back in 92.3 yards. Now, interestingly enough, the report indicates that at 120.4 yards, he was already entering back into the lane, right?
Now, hopefully I don't get flagged because of the music in the background, but y'all get the point. Y'all get the point. And again, I just want to emphasize again how easy it is and how easy it was for an entire police department to take a story and to run with it, to get the media, the court of public opinion on board without any evidence, without the body cam footage being released, without surveillance with local footage, camera, video camera, nothing, without any of that. How easy it was to almost put this young man in jail, or to get to the point where everything he worked for was gone. And now he wants and proceeded with taking his own life. Look how easy it was. And like many people, I'm so upset. But for me, I think I'm more hurt because it doesn't have to be this way. And it don't gotta be this way, but it's gonna keep being this way. Because when people disenfranchise and a lot of people don't even have attorneys. You know how expensive it is to prove your innocence? It is so expensive to prove that you are innocent. And it just, even for somebody who got resources to be put in a situation like this, and to still have to rely on or be at the mercy of the court of law. And if it was easy for them to spin the story, why wouldn't it be easy for a jury to go along with it? You up against all the odds, and it's just exhausting. It's so exhausting. And I just feel so bad because it's people sitting up in jail right now who didn't do whatever they're accused of doing. We know that. You know how many people we done heard be up in there talking about, I ain't do it. They probably didn't. Or there's just a different spin on it. Y'all, in 2025, the fact that we dealing with this, I just can't. And now looking forward, the question that everybody has is somebody going to be held accountable for this? Is somebody going to be held accountable? Who did this? Can you sue? Can the family sue? Because at this point, maybe you got to light everybody up. Get Ben Crump on the phone. Y'all, people talk about Ben all they want to, but Ben going to get you that money. Yes, money cannot bring back Kyren, but it can punish people who were involved. Get everybody. police department, like you name it, you on the list. Cause I just it's just so unfortunate. And it just makes me so upset and so sad. Like I just can't imagine. I just can't. So and also let me add too before I wrap up this particular topic. The police department down there released body cam footage of the one of the police officers talking to on the scene witnesses to prove what they were saying, right? They were trying to prove, like, yeah, you heard one of the witnesses saying something like, yeah, he did it. He just swerving in and out of lanes. Y'all, you can say that what you want, but the data don't lie. The data doesn't lie. One thing there's an extended video with the attorney floating around social media. He gave the detail, the blow by blow. The person who actually caused the accident, she was tailgating at 49 miles per hour behind the driver who I believe was going like 20 something. He braked, he swerved off so she wouldn't hit him in the back. She doing the most and swerved into oncoming traffic and hit the car that actually had the man in it who passed away. Y'all find the video, the full video, so you can hear it. Because again, the data doesn't lie. Rest in peace to Kyren Lacey. Because all of this did not have to happen. And for that young man to think that that was his only option, y'all, I just can't. I just can't. Let me know y'all thoughts about it though. If y'all watch the full video from the attorney, because again, it is very eye opening to say the least. Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts. You can find me at Canelia on social media. Another thing I want to quickly touch on because it was a lot floating around and I feel like this was traveling across social media at the same time that people were talking about Kyren Lacey. They were discussing Trey Reed. Remember a couple weeks ago I talked about how the young man was was hung in Mississippi, young black man near a college campus. Also, it came out that Colin Kaepernick was going to pay for the second autopsy for Trey Reed, right? Shout out to Colin Kaepernick. He's been doing great work with his foundation. And this is something that was needed in this case because one thing we not going to do is take the word from somebody who say, oh yeah, he was hung, he was suicide. Unless it's the latter and you can see the footprints on the ladder steps hanging yourself. I just don't buy it. How you get up there? I just don't. We don't be doing that. But over the weekend, reports and news started circulating from someone on social media saying that the second autopsy results were released and it showed that Trey Reed did not, in fact, hang himself. Now, I'm saying that because let me quickly jump in to say apparently the family made a statement. Local news publications came out and said that the second autopsy results have not been released. We don't know that. That is misinformation. That is misinformation. And I'm quickly bringing this up to highlight again. I know we're hoping that that is the outcome of the second autopsy. But guys, on one end, who is the psycho? Let's just be real. Who woke up, said, I'm going to post that the second autopsy results came out and that these are the results. I haven't read anything, but I just feel like posting and posted it. Who is that person? And then, second, who are the people who saw that? No link to articles, no statement from the family, no statement from the attorney, no statement from anybody. Just saw a random post and was like, yeah, that's true. Repost. Who are these people and why are you doing that? In this age of misinformation, it is always so baffling to me. The person that make the first lying, like the first lying post or lying meme. That one, it's be that meme you see that be floating around and it ain't true. I always look at that, be like, who did this? What was your thought process? What were you thinking? What you gotta be thinking to wake up and be like, you know what, I'm gonna post some lies today. What's wrong with y'all? Like I just y'all, it's and when I was seeing it, I was like, I hope this is real. But there was never any links to anything. Nothing. It was just, yep, I heard, yep, yep, yep. It was kind of like, and it's not the same thing at all, but this is just an example of misinformation. It's just like when the pandemic first started and everybody was like, yeah, I got a friend who cousin worked at the CDC and they said blah, blah, blah. Remember, everybody had a friend who cousin worked at the CDC? Remember that? When in actuality, nobody had a friend whose cousin worked at the CDC who said that. But everybody was saying it. Why? Because it was convenient and made people feel better and make them feel like they were knowledgeable. Even if there was no evidence, even if they don't know that y'all need to know where the CDC at. You know you ain't got no cousin who got a friend that work at the CDC or no friend who got a cousin down to the CDC. Okay, we got to get back to citing our sources. I just want to say that just to clear that up about young Trey Reed. Y'all know when the results come out, I will report back on Black News, but I just wanted to highlight that it sounds like that was misinformation. Now, if it comes out that it in fact was it, I will report on it. Now, if it comes out that that in fact was not the case, I will report on it. But from what it appears right now, that just wasn't true. Okay. I just want to button that up. Let me know your thoughts about it. And if you saw it in real time floating around, because that was crazy. Hit me up. Let me know. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. I'm going to play the clip of Aisha Curry talking about marriage and motherhood that got the internet in shambles. Now, before I play it, I don't think nothing was wrong with what she said. And let me back up further. There seems to be an ongoing attack against Aisha Curry, Steph Curry's wife, every time she opens her mouth. I don't know what it is, but people seem really hell bent on trying to find reasons and ways to not like this woman. Okay. I don't know why, what it is, what pisses people off so much about her. I feel like I do know, but from the sake of the general public, I don't think they know. It's just baffling to me. And she was on the Call Her Daddy podcast a couple weeks ago, that launched a couple weeks ago, and was talking about her life and how, about her and Steph's relationship and kids and all of this stuff. And for some reason, once again, pieces of what she said got chopped and screwed and people taking it out of context or just being upset. Now, before I play the video and why it's on my mind, I'm going to tell y'all why I think people are always mad at Aisha Curry. People romanticize other people's relationships. They romanticize their relationships, what should make people happy. They see Steph Curry and they automatically assume if you are if you're attached to him in any way, you should be thankful. He's tall. I even saw somebody post he light skinned, so you should be happy. What? Like, y'all, what? It's giving brown paper bag test. But anyway, he tall, he in the NBA, he making millions of dollars. All you got to do is just be his wife and have kids and just be taken care of. You should be blessed. First of all, we do not know these people. And just because somebody have money does not mean that they are not annoying or that they don't have their baggage or their trial or drama or just anything associated with them. Please stop romanticizing people's lives. Just because somebody playing the NFL does not mean, or the NBA does not mean that automatically makes that a good home environment. And they may have a good home environment, but I'm just saying that does not automate it's automatic. Trust me with that. But also, we just don't know what people be going through. And just because you, woman or man, or they person, a non-binary person, think that being with someone will be your dream doesn't mean that it's automatically someone else's dream. Just because you want them doesn't mean that it'll just be butterflies and rainbows for everybody else and they should be thankful. Let me just say that. Okay. So let me play the clip and then I'm going to quickly comment on it and then we're going to wrap it up.
Want kids. I didn't want to get married. I thought I was going to be career girl and that's it. And I had my eyes set on my goals and I was never the little girl that like dreamt about the wedding dress and all of that. And then it happened so early in my life.
Did you talk to Steph about it?
He tries to resonate with me, but he just can't. And he also comes from a place of like, it's effing stupid. Like, it's not true. So why? And I'm like, but wait, like, listen to how it makes me feel. And he's like, but why does it make you feel like that? It's not real. After we got married, we found out we were pregnant with our daughters so quickly. I didn't even have time to think about what I wanted anymore. It's so interesting. I spent my entire life like trying to work towards something and then it kind of just disappeared and I didn't think twice about it. But after my daughter turned 1, I remember there being a shift and being like, I have goals for myself. Like, this doesn't feel right. I love being a mom, but I love doing other things too. And I need to get my shit together and figure out what that looks like for myself now.
If I have a career and I'm not home, like, did you experience that?
I still experience that. I still experience that. I'm always in therapy talking about this. If you lose all of those things that were interesting about you, even for yourself, like even the things that made me feel confident and cool, then what are you doing?
Let me say a couple things. One, she is only like in her mid 30s, her and Steph. They got married when they were in their early 20s. That is extremely young. So to now be in your mid 30s and to have reflection about what it was like moving so fast and having these kids and doing all this other stuff, that is reality and that is realistic. She is still a young woman trying to figure out who she is outside of her marriage to Steph Curry. Y'all, newsflash, just because you married to somebody doesn't mean that you are that person. She had her own goals and hopes and dreams and career. She probably wants to get back and figure out what it is that she left behind. That is totally fine. You could do that while being married to a professional basketball player. But let me also say this. Like I said, I don't have a problem with nothing she said. And I'm going to point out that the majority of people that I know, women that I know that are married and have kids, have told me, or whether it's directly, or indirectly, or hinted at, they have told me not to get married and have kids. I'm not saying that they are unhappy or that they regret it or that they're miserable. I'm saying that a lot of my friends who have told me that, my homegirls, are saying it because of the thing. One is very taxing, but two, of a lot of stuff that you have to or end up having to leave behind. There's a lot of sacrifice that comes with being in partnership and then having kids and a family. Some people don't have to sacrifice much, some people do. But I know a lot of people who have sacrificed quite a bit and their goals and their dreams that they had when they were young. You sometimes you can't do all of it now because you got them kids and you got that husband. Sometimes his dreams take priority. Sometimes life just happens and it takes you in a direction you didn't expect. But I'm gonna say this one more time because I feel like more men need to start hearing these things. Some of y'all wives are telling their friends not to get married based on the interactions that they having with you. That don't mean they don't love you. Okay? That don't mean they ain't there for you. Or they don't love y'all kids. But you're probably a little exhausting. So they told me not to get married. I'ma just say that. Again, this is just my perspective. I think more people should be honest and start telling men how they feel about being in a relationship. Some people are happy. That's fine. Tell them, I'm really happy being in a relationship. But if you ain't, hey guys, that sucks. Okay. I'm telling everybody it's up. I'm just saying. But let me know your thoughts about it. Did you find fault in what Aisha Curry has said? Because I didn't. Let me know. You can find me at Cornelia on social media. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about Kyren Lacey and the evidence that was released this past weekend that essentially proves his innocence in the crime that he was about to or possibly about to be convicted of. We also gave a quick update about some misinformation being spread about Trey Reed and also talked about some discourse surrounding a video clip that went viral from Aisha Curry. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics, some or none. And I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Cornelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is cornelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.